So we're back with Universe Ticket. It's episode 10, titled D-Day, the final episode. The final episode part is what I added to the end. It's called D-Day. Anyways, final station. So, with this episode, they perform four songs total, and then they get into the final members of the group. And so, I thought there was going to be like way more episodes, but once they decided with how they were going to do that whole prism thing, it kind of like started to rush really quickly to the end. And so I'm glad it's not a prolonged season. But anyways, let's just get into what we have here, which is the final station, which is there's two songs that are rearranged by I think Galactica and the Vendors. And so the first one is White, which is a Finn KL song rearranged by Galactica, and then there's also Miracle, which is a Super Junior song rearranged by Vendors. And so I think the girls just get to choose which song they want by just choosing a seat in whatever order. I'm not really sure how the order is, but my guess is it has to do with rank. And then they start performing it. And so there's the White team. And this is actually my first time actually catching this episode live, by the way, because I found that it was finale, and then so I ended up watching it live, and honestly, the performance seemed a bit lip synced to me, and I also felt like they were kind of slacking a little bit because they weren't that in sync. But anyways, after this performance, there was a funny moment where the host was like, "It's miracle time," and he was like screaming. And I thought that was funny. Miracle, the song. I was surprised by this because Huang Xian actually had genuine happy expressions on. And so I guess she has like some versatility depending on the style that she has to portray. And so I was very surprised by that, by the way. I didn't expect her to do that. I thought she was going to be deer in the headlights again. But she actually had a genuine smile. So my guess is either people worked with her on it, or this is maybe her wheelhouse and she just never chose it before. But anyways, after this, you find out that because at this point we're at the finale, and you're like, doesn't even matter which team wins, but it does, because now we have unicorn ticketing, which is the basically the same thing as winning team ticket rigging. And so unicorn judges say, they wish all 16 are going to debut. And honestly, there is enough people here to form two groups that could debut. But anyways, the unicorn judges get a final say again. They get to choose two people for the end, for each winner between these two groups. And so, even though the winner doesn't really matter that much, it matters kind of a lot, because the judges can kind of just select from which group their favorites are going to be, and then they can just give them extra points. And so, that ended up, I think, selecting Bang Young Ha from, I think, was she in Miracle? She was in Miracle, and so Miracle won. And, they didn't really tell you who got it yet, but there was a part where they said they decide at the end, decide at the end. And then, later on, we get to see new song performances, which is original songs. And so there's two songs, one by Papermaker and one by Galactica. Papermaker does one called Camera, and Galactica does one called Dopamine. And the producers actually get to decide who they're going to cast for this song. And so I feel like this is even more control they have, because they can be like, okay, so for the first challenge, they're going to, the people are going to pick, and they're all going to perform pretty equally. And then we can choose whatever team as the winner, which is the one with Bang Yan Ha in it, and select Bang Yan Ha to get extra points. And then for the second team, we can select our favorites from there as well. And so they had a double chance to choose a winner here, but they didn't tell you who won it until the very end. But they just told you which team had their favorites in it. And so here this is interesting, because the producers get to choose up front who they want to be in each team. And so Alicia, she gets chosen by both as the main vocal, and she chooses camera. And then Lim Se-wan goes to Dopamine as her official rival. Nana gets chosen by both as well, but she and for the killing part role, and she chooses Dopamine, which is interesting. And then in terms of choosing her rival, they chose Yunha, which I don't see personally, but she got chosen to rival her for the killing part. So it's kind of interesting how they see it, I guess. That Nana and Yunha are the killing parts, but they're both decided by producers. And then we get to see the actual performances. Now, in terms of these performances, I feel like everything was fine here. I feel like Kotako's expressions were a little bit lacking, but the song's actually pretty good. I actually like this song, and it doesn't sound lip synced like the first two performances that we heard in the show. But I liked this song better than the second song, which is Camera. And so this song just came across to me as a bit formulaic, but not quite reaching the highs of songs in this formula. And so, at this point, Unicorn judges are basically just praising them both for doing a good job, so it's kind of ambiguous. But Dopamine wins, and they end up telling Hyunju that polishing makes her a masterpiece, not a second-hand good, which I thought was kind of like weird. And Hyunju, she had to smile through it, but then even after that, she was kind of like she got a little bit serious after, kind of trying to hold this look. And then there's some outdoor filler. Oh, by the way, yeah, Dopamine won. But then there's some outdoor fillers, and I was pretty sure it was going to be product placement because they were all praising their new jackets. But then the girls just end up reminiscing about stuff, and it's funny because everyone speaks some Korean, I think, except for Jelly. She ends up talking behind the scenes in English a little bit. And so, I mean, it's fine. It's not easy to learn a new language from scratch, especially if you don't have any experience in it at all. And then we get back to the show. I'm just like zooming through this. I realize that it feels scattered, but I'm not really sure how else to cover an episode that is scattered because there's two performances and then there's just announcement of the group. But anyways, something funny happens is that they announce the team name and it's Eunice. And I'm like, Eunice? I'm dumbfounded when I hear this, by the way. And then what's funny is someone in the audience is like, ah. Well, hold on, let me get this audio.
데뷔조의 그룹명을 공개하겠습니다. 유니버스에서 시작한 우리들의 스토리를 함께 써 내려가자는 의미를 담은 팀명 유니스. 여러분 박수.
So someone's like, ah, and I didn't really like it at all. And that when I first heard that, I actually lost it for a good minute. But anyways, I wish they would change it to something more interesting, like, I don't know, something weird like Graveheart, or something more relevant like Priz Teen, where maybe the teen is written with teenager, or something like weird like that. But I don't know, Eunice just sounds a little weird. But I guess everyone's trying to choose names that are like not taken, but also way too simple. But Alicia obviously is chosen the first member. And then after Alicia, two more members get in, which is Yuna and Nana, and both get in via unicorn ticketing. And of course, Yuna gets in by unicorn ticketing, but Nana, I didn't think they would waste it on her. I actually thought Kim Sumin was gonna get in, but it turns out that I guess Nana's votes weren't that great if she had to be propped up in this way. And they know all the data from behind the scenes about who's voting for who, by the way. But Nana definitely has some pre-existing fame and star quality, so why wouldn't they put her in? Maybe it means something different in the final, I guess, album sales, if that makes sense. But anyways, after those three, I start to realize that every single person they announce after Nana is just getting in the group. And so it's not like even a mystery at all. Like there's a whole bunch of people just sitting on the sidelines, like near pretty much the very end. And so you start to see more people get in the group. Oh Yuna ends up getting in, and I feel like her win was probably the most unexpected and emotional, and even her mom was like losing it in the crowd. She was crying, and then it was funny because when she accepted it, she didn't expect it, but she starts thanking her CEO of her entertainment company, and I thought that was kind of funny. Uh, another one, another thing that happened is Kotoko got in, and live chat was so mean about Kotoko getting in. Like they actually legit hated her so much, and I didn't get it, and I didn't know. This is the first time watching the show live, and I didn't understand that the chat hated her so much. But she's just a little girl, and so I don't even know where that's coming from. But I guess they feel like she coasted because she's just like a little girl who's kind of like cute looking, and so maybe they felt like she didn't get there in terms of meritocracy. But I don't know about that. I feel like she did well. She was stable, and even if she struggled, she didn't let it show in the end. But what I'm really surprised about is that Kim Semin didn't make it, and they actually showed her getting rejected at the end, and she was like, I feel like she was surprised because I'm pretty sure that even while she was getting special treatment all the time, she legit did carry a lot of performances in terms of like just her skill level, and I feel bad for her because this final team isn't really on her level. Like she's a skillful person, but in terms of like legit X factor, she doesn't have that in common with the others, and I would say that's probably why she didn't make it in the end. A lot of the people in the group at the very end are people with some element of an X factor to them, and the only ones that kind of pale in that regard is maybe like Yunha and maybe Oyuna. But Oyuna is like an underdog. You saw her getting mistreated at the very beginning, and she fought hard to continue to make it, and so I feel like she deserved to make it in the end. But Kim Semin definitely, yeah, she worked really hard. She was a really good vocal, really good performer, and I was surprised that she didn't make it in. But people, well, she didn't get universe ticketing or rigging ticketing, and so I guess that's why. Another person who didn't make it is Lee Sun Woo, and I feel bad for Lee Sun Woo because I thought this year was going to be a year where we redeemed the girls from Girls Planet, seeing as how Sakurai Miu made it on that Produce 101 Japan, and I thought she might get in as well. But as an older member and someone with like slightly desperate energy sometimes, even though she does come across that way, I still feel like she's a really good fighter at heart, and she always performed well. And even when she refused to have drama on the show, and I don't know if that was her downfall, but even she wasn't going to be used like all the other girls. She just kind of like cried openly. She was like resisting that stuff, and so I feel bad for her because she really just should be in a group and performing. And then Hyunju made it after her, and she's older than Lee Sun Woo, so it's not like an age thing. But she does have way more accolades to her name, as I think she debuted twice already or something, according to the Unicorn judge, and she was definitely in Signature, which I remembered her from. She looks like that girl from Girls Planet, who also had a solo debut recently. Why am I forgetting her name? She has that. Anyways, no, I can't remember it at all. But anyways, I always thought that she was just kind of brought in to legitimize and kind of like lead performances. But she made it into the final group, and so it worked out for her in the end. And then Narumi didn't make it, and other than that, the leftover girls, like I said, could make a whole other group because they're not that bad. So I guess that's pretty much it for the show. Overall, I would say the final group is fine. I'm not that invested in most of them, so I didn't really care what the final thing was gonna be. And I didn't really dislike this show that much, even though I was always joking about the rigging. To me, that's kind of funny, to be honest. And so I always thought that I was having fun talking about it, and people in my chat or whatever, people in my comments were always like reaffirming that it's rigged. And then like some were kind of like saying it's rigged and that they're talented girls and they're choosing the talented ones. Yeah, I mean, there's positive rigging too. But anyways, I guess that's pretty much it. Not really much else to say. Apparently next year there's going to be Universe League with boys in 2025, and so I'll probably catch that, and I'll probably joke about this show being rigged as well. But anyways, I guess that's it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why in the comment box down below. Also, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing so I can see you in the next video.